Let's have a sesh on the marketing mix. So the marketing mix was first coined by this guy called Neil Borden, and he came up with this idea that there's this mixture or mixing of marketing factors that can affect your sales. And basically all the marketing mix is your tactics for how you're going to increase your sales for your business. But the 4 Ps are basically the 4 best tactics you can use. And those tactics are product, price, promotion, place. So they are the top 4 tactics you can use, which is your marketing mix, in order to increase your sales. So the first of the 4 Ps is product, and product is about meeting the customer's needs and wants, so giving them what they want. That could be certain designs, certain features, or certain specifications, for example. But many companies, they don't just have one product, they have many products, a range of products. And that effectively is what your product portfolio is. It's your range of products that your business sells. We know that Apple sells a whole range of products, from iPods to iPads to Macs. And each of those products will sit in a different area of the Boston Matrix. Please check out that video. But the Boston Matrix is essentially what your market share is, and the market that you're working in, what the growth is of that whole market. The product life cycle is about each of the products in your product portfolio and where they exist within it, because each product goes through a life cycle. You think they will start in the development phase, where the product has to be created, and once it's created, it will have to be introduced to the market. And once it's introduced to the market and consumers like it, then hopefully it will go through the growth stage and the sales of that product will grow. And then it will grow until it reaches basically a state of maturity where you've saturated the market, you've maximized the possible sales you can make. And then after that, maybe due to technological advancements, you think about the iPod and why that doesn't sell anymore. That's moved into the final stage. That is the decline stage, where your sales are reduced. If you're in the decline stage, you might want to take on an extension strategy, some sort of rebranding, repackaging of your product to try and drag out as many sales as you can before the inevitable death of your product. But that's all product. Everything in green here, remember, that's just another video where I go into each of these topics in more depth. Going on to price is about how much your consumers will pay for a certain good. But you might want to do different tactics of your price, different pricing strategies. For example, you could use price penetration, where you'll set the price at first low, and then over time, you'll increase the price. You might use price skimming, where you start with the price high, and then you lower it over time. Or you could go with competitive pricing, where you look what your competitors are doing, and you price in that region. Or you could use cost plus pricing, where you work out how much it costs to make your good, and then you add up a markup on top of that to define your price. Or a variation of price penetration, basically an extreme version of it, is loss leader pricing, where you actually price your product so low, it's actually lower than the actual costs of producing that product. So you'll be making a loss. But the idea is you drag in the customers, they try your products, and maybe if you're a supermarket, they might look elsewhere and buy some other things. So overall, you'll make a profit. Either way, that's price. But also there is how the customers will pay, the payment terms. Not all businesses provide just cash as a form of paying. They might offer the chance to use a card, a bank card for example, or Apple Pay, or in the case of business to business, they will offer trade credit. So there might be the receipt of the goods, but you might not have to pay for it until 60 days later. The next of the 4 Ps is place. So place is about how the product gets to the customer. You get a product through a retail outlet, for example, so the business might move the product to a retail outlet and hope the customer will buy it from the retail outlet. Or it could be the case of a wholesaler, where your customer is in fact just a retail outlet and it's the shops, so it's a business-to-business transaction, so it's a retail shop would want to buy your goods from the wholesaler. Or it could be the customer buys the good from the factory. Whatever the route is that the product gets to the customer, that's known as the channel of distribution. On top of that, getting the customer access is basically what place is about. A way that a business might get a customer access to a good is to franchise, because the business might not be able to meet the customers in a certain region. They don't have the finances available to do it. So they might look to franchise their business plan and look for someone to buy into that who will set up the branch in another area, basically franchising, and that will be the way that they get their good or service to the customer, how the customer gets access to it. The final of the 4 Ps is promotion. And promotion is about how you communicate your good or service to potential customers. Basically, how you make yourself visible, how you make customers aware of your product. There are many different ways and methods you can use for promotion. It is not just advertising, but advertising is a big component of the promotional mix. But there are other methods, for example, PR, for example, promotions, and many others that you should check out on my promotional mix video. The final thing I want to look at is analysis and evaluation for the marketing mix. Some things to think about if you have to answer a question on the marketing mix. So one is that although it looks like this is some kind of crazy pizza that's split into 4 equal parts, businesses will often not focus equally on each of these 4 Ps. Their tactics might be skewed towards one thing. Think about Poundland. Poundland focuses extremely on price. So price is a big factor of their marketing mix, their strategy in order to get sales. They rely on that idea that they sell everything for £1 and they promote off of that. So maybe these are the 2 big factors for that particular businesses. But other businesses, it will be different. So the key is, don't think it's 25%, 25%, 25% for each of these. Some will have a stronger emphasis. Number 2 is that a business must adapt its marketing mix. It must adapt its tactics over time. Think about these examples. One is that if you move internationally, then you might need to have heavy focus on place, because if you decide that you're going to move your business to another region, you're going to have to work out how you're going to get that good to your new customers in that new geographic region. And the next is time, because over time, certain goods go through that product life cycle, and therefore you might adapt your tactics, your marketing mix. Because think about DVDs. DVDs are certainly in the decline stage now. But when they were in the growth stage, they would have been heavily promoted. But now they're in the decline stage, it probably makes less cost sense in order to promote them as hard. Because let's face it, they're not likely to sell as many now. And it might involve doing more extension strategies, or it might involve lowering the price now just to make sure you sell those remaining DVDs as a business that you have produced. So you've adapted your tactics to the situation, adapted your marketing mix. Technology, closely related. Any technology that has moved through those product lifecycle stages, you will adapt accordingly. If you're in the introduction stage, it's likely you're going to promote heavily at that point. And maybe if you're a tech good, you might think about price penetration to get people trying your goods. Or if you create brand loyalty when you're in the maturity stage, think about iPhone, maybe you want to use price skimming because you want to, those customers that are so brand loyal to you, maybe you will charge a higher price initially when you release a new iPhone, for example. And that, you could argue, is an extension strategy in combination with price skimming. And finally, competition, because your competition might do some heavy promotion, so you need to react to that, and therefore you might have to do even more promotion. So you've had to adapt your marketing mix, your tactics, to your competition. And number 3 in terms of analysis and evaluation is these whole 4 Ps was really, it came about on the emphasis of goods. But businesses don't just sell goods, they also sell services. So you might think that a limitation of these 4 Ps is it doesn't think about services enough. It gives no respect to customer service. It gives no respect to the physical environment. If you go to a restaurant, for example, you want the room, you want the decor to be lovely when you're sitting there. Or if you're in McDonald's, you want the process to be good. You know when you go to McDonald's, part of the reason why you spend money there is that you just go on the computer, you type in what you want, and you collect it within 5 minutes. That process is so quick. That's partly what increases the sales of McDonald's. So marketing mix, thinking tactics, but just be aware, need to change it over time, need to evolve, and services, they need to go further than these 4 Ps. You need to be thinking about other stuff. Hope that helps the marketing mix. Please check out all the videos on the topics that are in green on this board, and good luck with your exam.